Hey yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Lousy TCG back again with another Union Arena video. This time we're going to be talking about the meta, the tier list that I have in mind. We're going to talk about what decks still need some support, what could be fun, some sleeper picks, what are competitively viable, and then obviously the top of the meta. Um, Again, my name is Lousy for a reason. These are my opinions. If you do not like it, well, that's okay. You have your own opinion. This isn't the video for you. Starting off, we're going to look at Kurapika. I still think Kurapika is a top meta candidate. The ability to snipe and take care of big bodies, it will just always be a viable deck in the meta. I still think it is a top meta. I don't necessarily think that it is the best deck in the meta, but I still think it is in the top tier. Um, I think that Byakuya's version of Purple Bleach is a sleeper pick. I think the ability to white boards is very, very strong that not very many decks have the ability to do. So again, I think that it is still a sleeper pick. I don't think it's quite fun tier. I think you could take this to a tournament and do very well. But next we have the 13 court guard squads. I still think is a competitively viable deck. I think it still needs some support, but at the same time, where it is right now in the meta, I still think it is viable. You can still take this to a locals and win. We're waiting for set 2. I know that it gets some more Kenpachi cards, and it should be much better later. Next, we have the Illumi deck. I think that it's definitely fun tier. I'll probably put Krollo in there as well. Them together as a hybrid deck, you could maybe put in Sleeper, but definitely fun decks that maybe even teeter on needing some support. Captain Yamamoto, wouldn't even bother. Definitely needs support. I would say that Yuabaha, the Stern Ritters definitely need some support. I know that there is a Rush version that I have personally played that's won locals. So you could put it somewhere in the fun tier or the need support tier. I'm of the mindset that it definitely needs some more support, which we are getting a few cards come volume 2, but not enough to really push it into that sleeper range for me. So for now, I could even see with the support that it is getting to put it in the fun tier. Bambi, I think another one that's in the fun tier. She definitely gets some support later on, but definitely not a sleeper pick that I would choose for a locals. Next, we're going to go top of the meta. We're going to go with Bleach, Renji Rush. I would consider maybe this is the Rukia version and not the Renji version, so I'd say this is viable. Renji Rush would be up top. These two are interchangeable. I mean, they basically run the exact same pieces. This probably just runs the Rukia raid targets. This does not. This is just running them as vanilla 4Ks. This is running the raid targets to actually get her ability and then use all of your raid Ichigo's effects. I would say that it's still viable in the meta, but I still think Renji Rush is king. Killua, I would say, needs some support. Not too familiar with the deck, but I do think that it definitely needs a few more pieces to push it over the edge. Gon, 100%. Gon and friends needs some more support. Not high enough tier yet. Blue Bomber, I think, is a sleeper pick. I like gambling. I think gambling is fun. If you want to gamble on the gamble deck, that is an option. I think it's a sleeper pick. The ability to be destructive and whiteboards, very, very, very viable. No surprise, Yuji, Sakuna, maybe even mixed with the Nanami. You could even put both of these decks in the top meta, as the Nanami deck did win the World Championships at Bandai Card Fest. I would even put these decks as synonymous. They're the same thing, really, to me. This is obviously just running it without the Nanamis, and then this is running Nanami with support of Yuji and the Sukunas. Both definitely top of the meta. I would even move. I'm just gonna keep them up top. Toto, I think, is fun. Definitely needs support. Mahito, in my opinion, is a sleeper deck. It's one of few of our locals. I think that it's a very sleeper pick, especially if your opponent doesn't know what the deck is trying to do. It can just kind of come in and take some wins very easily. Nobara, I would even put Gojo and Nobara together. You typically run these two in the same deck. I would say they're fun, but need some support. Hot take, I think Megumi is a sleeper pick. I know that it's getting support soon, but I personally think I even run this deck, and I've won locals. I even won a rare battle with it. I think this deck is a sleeper pick. Hot take. Another sleeper pick for me is the Hashira deck. I just did a deck profile on it recently. I think it's a sleeper deck. I think people are underrating it just because it doesn't have any raid cards in the deck. I still think that it is very strong. It can definitely take your opponent by surprise, especially if you're able to get in your top end very fast, very high rolly. Again, I like the deck. I think it could be a sleeper pick in the meta. Zenitsu, and I think is probably a sleeper deck. I think you could take some people by surprise with the Zenitsu raid deck. I definitely don't think it's super viable, but it definitely is a sleeper pick. Rengoku just needs support. We get it in the future. Right now it's not very good as is. Of course, I personally think that Tanjiro is a top meta, maybe even a top viable deck. It's so consistent, right? I mean, the ability to see those raids for 3 energy or 4 energy are just so good, and I don't know, the deck is just so consistent, and it definitely is a top contender for me. Muzan, I think, is definitely fun, needs some support, but also could be sleeper. He's in a weird spot where you could even maybe put him in any of these 3. Once he gets support, he definitely gets better. I haven't tested too much into it as the set just came out Friday, but from what I've seen gameplay wise of him, the reliance on self-removal to remove bodies just doesn't seem fantastic to me right now, and I know that later it gets some support that it doesn't need to rely on that as much to remove bodies. So for now I'm going to put it in the fun, but I can definitely see it in any of these 3 categories here. Lancelot, hot take, I think that it's viable. I don't think it's top of the meta. It's definitely a strong deck, but I think that it's too much resource based. It takes too long to set up, and Purple Gawain just has the ability to destroy that deck. I've seen it time and time again that Purple Gawain really just kind of runs into Lancelot and just wins. Nunnally, Red Ash for Academy, I think is a very viable deck. Definitely viable. You could run this at your locals and steal some wins, especially on Lancelot and Gawain. Gawain is able to, BP minus a lot of your bodies and get rid of your board, but I think if you're able to get set up fast enough and you start doing damage early, and you could take a Gawain player by surprise. Gawain definitely still top tier, very fast, and is able to kill bodies just as much as Purple Bleach is. Gloucester deck, I think, definitely needs some support. I think the 4 Holy Swords definitely needs some support, and I think Pizza definitely needs some support. Definitely a fun deck, but yeah, so far that is my meta picks. I could even see moving Stern Ritters up, moving Nobara and Gojo up into a sleeper role. I don't think they're quite there yet. They just need a little bit of support. But yeah, that's my meta right now. This is what I think is going to be what we're going to see topping a lot of our locals here in the US. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Were my takes too hot? Were they cold? Did I miss? Let me know down below. And if you think there's something that should be top tier that I necessarily didn't put up there, please let me know down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.